More torque cannot be generated with pure arm strength. It must be accompanied with the hand, even though the hand adds to the distance between the center of rotation and the point of force application, in other words, leverage length. This won't negatively affect the outcome force because the arm and the hand are different entities and act separately. To sum up, a significant portion of Devon's arm strength is due to his superior hand strength in terms of pronation and riser. Your arm isn't meant to be put in a losing position without following it with your body or turning your frame to the losing hand and using your bicep. Another philosophy, Devon is a smart arm wrestler. He knows that the hand is his point of advantage. He forces the match not to become about arm strength. His pronation is a major contributor in this regard. His opponents, and not the other ones, due to their limited table IQ, are always limited by their inferior hand and wrist. Devon is a hand-based arm wrestler. He focuses on the last link in the chain, from where the total force is conveyed. The overwhelming amount of power exerted from their arms causes their own wrist to crack, simply because it's the limited factor. Round 1 against Gennady is a prime example, but that's not in 2024. Georgie is definitely stronger than Devon in every move, in Devon's own words, but not in the hand and wrist battle. The most recent proof is the match of Devon versus Levin in April. Round 1 was the absolute killer and shock. All of Levin's arm strength was useless and couldn't flatten the arm of Devon Larratt. His wrist was cracking when going sideways. This proves two things. First thing is Devon's wrist is the absolute strongest in the world during the first round. Secondly, that hand of Devon, aka pronation, is supported by a back pressure that is strong enough to stop Levin eye to eye in the dead center. Devon trains mainly in powerlifting style, the singles. They only developed the strength to exert 1 rep max, and that was demonstrated in the first round. Devon's arm strength is strong to hold Levin in the center fresh to fresh. Levin is smart and conveyed his power without passing through wrist with a flop. And to be honest, Devon Larratt's arm was strong not to tear or break, because he was pressed by 400 pounds monster Levin haha. You are able to hold more weight at full contraction than you can dynamically move there with every muscle. It's the same reason why you keep your arm tight and move your body backwards to back pressure and not simply curl. Though you still train hammer curl movement, for example. To take it further, you're even stronger in a slow eccentric compared to a static. I heard Travis explain it on several occasions that this is part of his top roll technique since he throws his body so fast to the side that he's making full use of the maximum strength he can use while his pronation is slowly opening cause he hits the pin pad before his pronation is fully opened. When a top roller takes the opponent's wrist, it's not so much pronation that's doing the wrist taking, but more so the brachialis, brachioradialis, and biceps brachii. In other words, it is back pressure that takes the wrist, not only pronation. Pronation is far more important for defensive purposes, not getting turned into a hook, and for hooking you need pronation for hook. When you use your own body weight, you gotta have a strong arm to resist the force of your body weight as you go down. If your opponent has the stronger arm, you can use all of your body weight as much as you want, but your arm will not go down with you and you will be pinned even if you are heavier than your opponent. Why? Because he has more arm strength than you. It's always been about arm strength even when using body weight. And also it is much safer to pull and go down than just to push sideways in arm wrestling. Go search up humerus fracture, you will know why. I'm sure you wouldn't want to break your arm like that. Devon's record in the pronation lift is 161 pounds, and Levin's record is 165 pounds. Both of these lifts demonstrate a lot of arm strength, which is much required as it's an elbow flexion movement. The notable part is how much emphasis Devon places on starting with low weight and progressing incrementally. Much like the starting strength program, it's focused on core lifts with strict form and relentless consistency. These lifts are tailored to building strength in a very specific and limited range of motion that emulates the arm wrestling starting position. I think that they are valuable mostly for those that have already built a good base. Most amateur arm wrestlers would likely be far better off starting by training basic compound exercises such as pull-ups, dips, bench at sea, using a full range of motion in order to develop their muscles optimally, while going to practice once or twice per month. Later down the line, when you've built a decent strength base, you can start focusing more of your time sharpening the tip of your spear. Devon is an experimental bro scientist. He often comes up with new training ideas and goes through different phases. Here are some examples of his different philosophies throughout the years. Late 2000s believes in full-body training and does heavy biceps. Early 2010s biceps training is flawed and stops doing it. Mid-2010s side pressure is unnecessary. Grip is unnecessary since you can slip for strap. Cup is the most important strength and trains nothing but cup for months. Recovery by doing 1,000s of micro reps for blood flow. Cardio is important. Early 2020s grip is important again. Does hypertrophy training. Stops doing ultra volume for recovery. Stops doing cardio. Stops training one arm to siphon resources to the other arm. Mid-2020s now trains nothing but forearm rise, cup, roll-in singles throughout the day. No more hypertrophy. Contrast this with European athletes like the Georgians, Kazakhs, Russians, who have been following the same established weight training routine for decades. For example, Levan says for the past 14 years he's been doing the same 4-day week weight training, split chest, shoulder, bicep, wrist, etc. Same for Zoloev and other European athletes. I won't comment on whether Devon training methods are correct or not. However, keep in mind that as he's always experimenting, there is a possibility that he will adopt more conventional bicep back pressure training after this. Devon Larratt has a strong humerus bone, which is also a factor in his arm strength. It's partly conditioning of the humerus and not limited to muscular force. Conditioned arm wrestlers, due to trauma over time, can take more torsion on their humerus before it snaps than unconditioned people. This process involves microfractures forming in the bone as part of training and competition, and as part of the recovery, the body remineralizes these microfractures, increasing bone density. Over time, this becomes cumulative, giving more resilience to torsion in the humerus, although it can still snap, circumstantially. The position he is in is certainly risky, but he's been doing it so long he knows what he can and can't do. In this case, he's not trying to rotate. He is trying to plant his elbow and have his elbow take almost all the pressure as he stays locked in position. There's a reason he has had 2 elbow surgeries. This kind of move puts ridiculous strain on the elbow. Lots of gear is going to help with bone density in combination with lots of training. His humerus has adapted with regards to bone density.